4, 3, 2, 1. Right here. 4 tires of fuel.
Ride 1.
Outside.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Four and Fuel Podcast, episode 13. We brought up that it was the Ty Dillon episode, so this one might not be so good because Ty Dillon, he may be a hack on the racetrack. But hopefully we're not no hacks here on the podcast. We've got a special guest today from Kyle Busch Motorsports. We got Caden Henry-Oakes. How's it going, Caden?
Pretty good. How about y'all?
Doing pretty good. Got Steve back. Steve, you're starting a new streak.
Yeah, that's right. I'm back again, and thankfully no 13 hours at work tonight, so we'll be ready for this.
Yeah, no West tonight. Again, he got to work at 5 in the morning, and it is currently 11 o'clock at the time of recording, so he is currently sleeping away while we're here talking about some racing. Kevin, how we doing? Back for another one.
Yep, keep the streak still going. Been here every episode, and I'm happy to be here.
So I want to start talking about Caden, working at Kyle Busch Motorsports. Just let everyone know, how did you, get with the team?
I got there through a guy that I met when I went to school at NASCAR Tech. A buddy of mine named Austin Ward. I was working with the 32 guys last year, and a spot opened up where he went full-time from an internship, and he pretty well got me in there before he went full-time, and that's how I'm in there right now. I started out as an intern, and right now I'm doing part-time stuff because of COVID, and I plan on going full-time here as soon as we get back to 100% capacity with the super late model guys.
Yeah, and you just recently graduated, correct?
Yeah, I graduated June 26th.
All right, and so now everyone's going to want to know, have you actually, met Kyle Busch?
Yeah, I met him one time. We went to dinner on the lake. It was pretty neat spot. So it was a seafood place. Can't really go into much details to the public, whatnot, but he's a pretty cool guy. I would definitely do it again.
And so what have you done so far at KBM? What have you really been focused on?
I'm more or less focused on the late model stuff because I've never been around those. I've been around the NASCAR race cars and the trucks and that stuff before. They're mostly all the same, the NASCAR race cars are. There's minor tweaks and differences between each series. But the late model cars, they're lighter, they have more horsepower, they have bigger engines, which is for bigger block, more torque, low end. It's a whole completely different animal. It's just something I want to learn and get into.
And is there a chance for you to maybe get on the road crew with the late models once you guys are able to get out there?
Eventually, yeah. Right now I'm still on the shop only. So it's just, working my way up kind of deal and waiting for everything to get back to normal the way it was back in February when I started.
I had a question real quick about, you said you went to NASCAR Tech. What, just for maybe some listeners out there, I know when I was looking at colleges, NASCAR Tech was at the top of my list. What was that experience like, and how did you find yourself enjoying NASCAR Tech?
You more or less get what you put into it. It's Monday through Friday, so 5 days a week, obviously. I was in the morning classes, so it was 6:30 in the morning to 12:45 in the day, and you had 2 half-hour breaks, and it's all right. It's definitely a lot of work. It's a lot of information because the classes, it's not a semester. It's one class the whole entire time you're there, and it's a 3-week class. So you're learning a ton of stuff in a short period of time, and then you go straight into the next deal for another 3 weeks, and there's no breaks. You only get, when I was there, I had Wednesday to Friday off for 4th of July. I had Wednesday to Friday off for Thanksgiving, and I had a week off for Christmas. That was it. It was school the entire time. And it's just going and pretty much got to be on your A game the entire time. because they have employers. They not only have race teams, but they have dealerships and stuff like that from the area. And they also have, not just the local area, but the surrounding areas all the way out to the beach and even into middle and western Tennessee. They come to the school exclusively to hire out of there.
Yeah, that sounds really familiar. I ended up going to UNOH, and that was a really similar setup. We were Monday to Thursday, but ours were 6-week classes instead. So very similar setup, but you hit the nail right on the head. It's what you put into it, and if you put in a lot of work and a lot of effort into it, you're going to get rewarded. And obviously you have so far with your part-time and hopefully full-time gig coming up soon at KBM. So congratulations on graduating. It's a big accomplishment, and really excited to see what you're able to do at KBM.
Thank you. It's much appreciated.
And so give us kind of like a short timeline. So I know you come from Virginia, so you decided to go to NASCAR Tech. Like, just take you through the timeline of how you've gotten to KBM now.
So when I would say not even 6 months before I started school, I didn't even plan on it really. I was working at a Ford dealership at the time, and I had always talked about it and whatnot. And I was going to a community college, and I just wasn't into it, honestly. It just felt like school again, like high school. And I was like, this ain't for me. This isn't what I want to do. And, I always talked to my parents about it, and they's like, you serious? Like, yeah, I want to, go down there and try my luck at least. And they were behind me, and my granddad was too. I talked to him about it because he was still with me. And so I pretty much took all that I had and went on a last-ditch effort and signed up. I want to say it was probably like 6 or 7 weeks before I actually started classes that I was completely ready. And even then, I still wasn't ready, honestly, because I still had a bunch of stuff to get down here. And just kind of went out on a limb. And then I started school for a couple weeks. I was there I did 3 classes. And I lost my granddad, so I had to go home for a month. And I lost motivation for a little bit. I was like, I got to get back down there. I got to do it. And I went back down there. And 2 weeks after that, I got a call that said, hey, there's a opening at Go Fast Racing. Go over there and see what you can do. So I go over there, and I interview with Mason St. Hilaire. He's the team owner's son. He's Archie's son. Pretty cool guy. Sat down with him in his office, and he said, well, what have you done on a race car before? I told him straight up. I was like, I ain't done nothing. Completely new to me. I'm here to learn everything I can. So he said, well, come in here when you can, with school and work and whatnot, because I was working and school. And went over there a few days a week, and I learned a lot over there from a boy named Jesse that he is from the local area where I'm from as well. And I was over there until December, and then that's when I started talking to my buddy Austin, because he went full-time in the CNC shop at KBM, and he gave me the call. He's like, hey, come over here at KBM and talk to Wes, who's the foreman. And Wes is a pretty cool guy, and he's a little older guy. So I talked to him, had a couple meetings with him, and they got me in there about late January or early February. And I was over there and whatnot, and I started out sweeping the floor for a couple weeks, and they said they got me over on the late model after it came back from New Smyrna. And it was Kyle's late model. I was like, oh, Lord, here we go. They said, you ever worked on a late model before? I was like, no, never touched one. They said, well, take the front bumper off. And luckily the engine, all the front suspension was out of it. So I got that off, didn't put a scratch on it. Thank the Lord. But that pretty well started me working with the late model guys, just to kind of throw me in there and working with them. I've been working with Brandon Setzer, who's Dennis' son.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another guy, Randy, and also Sanchez. I don't even know his first name. They just call him Sanchez, so I just go with that. I've been working with those guys, and I've been working with Tim on the 4 truck, who's a front end guy. There's another guy, Hot Rod, that does a bunch of stuff. He worked with one of my teachers, Jeremy Ware, at NTI when they were at Gibbs. And trying to think, there's another guy, Steve. He graduated out of NTI in 2003, and he's worked for a bunch of different teams. So it's pretty neat. Definitely wouldn't change it for the world. So
Yeah, it sounds like a fun journey, and it's all been it seems like a lot in just a few years, and that's really cool that everything's kind of moved so quickly, and you're getting where you're at, and you're only what, 21, 22?
Yeah, I've only been down here for, I want to say 17 months or 18 months, something like that. And I've already had 2 different gigs at a race shop, and I met a lot of people, and there's some stuff that I haven't said, but there's a lot of people and a lot of good things happen.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think, Steve, you had something?
Well, I didn't.
I
just think it's really, really exciting. That's something that I always aspired to get into, and unfortunately, my career never took that path. But it's really cool to know a guy that aspired to go that route and is achieving his dreams, and as a friend, that's really cool to see, and it's really cool to support friends like that.
Hey, Steve, we know. Don't swipe off that you went to Daytona. You got to be a part of the NARCA team.
That's right. I did get one race experience working with Jesse Awuji's car. I actually didn't even get to be around for the race because I was in the infield care center because Florida gave me a heat stroke. So
no.
I was there for practice and qualifying, and then by the time that the race came, I was in the infield care center getting pumped up with IVs. But I did get one race experience.
There you go.
But hey, it's never too late, Steve.
That's right.
You're only 21.
That's right.
You still got a long road ahead of you. We know you aren't going to be a plumber here for the rest of your life.
I know. Well, maybe. But
and we know Kevin won't be in school for the rest of his life, just like me. We'll make it somewhere. I don't think Kevin's going to be stuck with the big BTN, station.
No, I'll be moving on to other things, hopefully, by the time I'm out of Michigan State, so we'll see what happens.
Maybe I'll be the lead commentator for NBC, and Kevin will be the lead commentator for NASCAR on Fox.
NASCAR on Fox.
Because we can't be together because we're both, play-by-play. We can't have 2 play-by-plays in there.
I don't know. It seems with NBC, they got 4 play-by-play guys. So.
Look at Nort, dude. They got 2 play-by-plays.
Oh, yeah.
Rudy in the booth and Joseph Lombard.
Well, poor Jeff Burton. I mean, Jeff Burton they go to Dale Jr. every time. I'm like, nobody listens to Jeff Burton.
That's right.
Like
Steve Letard always wants to remind everybody that he was a former crew chief, too. Just in case anybody forgot, he was a former crew chief.
And Steve seems to always disagree with the leader's strategy. I remember last year at Phoenix when he was like, I can't believe the 11 just put 2 tires on. 2 tires wasn't even in my playbook.
Well,
but
what else are you going to do? What else are you going to do? 4 tires, 2 tires, no tires. What are you going to do?
But anyways, speaking of NBC, they brought back the coverage at Texas. This Texas, we're not going to beat the dead horse. This Texas is not as good as the old Texas.
Snooze fan.
I think we just got to fast forward to interesting with around 20 laps to go.
Trash.
We had teams on different strategies. Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, Eric Almirola all towards the front, pitting early because they had to pit for fuel, while others like Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, Eric Jones didn't have to pit until later in the race, and they luckily caught the caution due to Quinn Houff.
Damn lap car up there amongst the top 10 with less than 15 to go. I don't know. NASCAR needs to do something about lap cars. I mean, when I'm down, I don't ever get in those guys' way. That guy was up there all damn day. I wish I had something I could shot through the window.
trying to find his pit
God.
box from 3 lanes up the racetrack. It turns 3 and 4. Now, Brad Keselowski said after the race that they should have some like promotion and demotion system in the top 3 series because of people like Quinn Houff, who had a total of 15 career starts combined in the ARCA series and the Xfinity series before this year. Do you think Brad's on to something?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he is. He's thinking a lot like how iRacing does it. If you cause, a lot of wrecks in iRacing and you get involved in a lot, they're going to demote you. You're not ready for the next level yet. And I think that the same accountability needs to be held in, obviously, NASCAR. And with 15 combined starts in ARCA and Xfinity, you're not ready for the Cup Series. And unfortunately, we're seeing all these guys with the pay-to-play strategy, not a strategy, but, they just happen to have sponsorship come with them. And then all of a sudden they're in the Cup Series when they're completely undeserving of it. So I definitely think Brad is onto something. Who knows? I don't think NASCAR can do anything about it because at the end of the day, it comes down to money. At the end of the day, Quinn Houff brought sponsors with him when Landon Castle didn't. And it's unfortunate because Landon Castle always took care of his equipment and brought home some pretty decent finishes. And then
there's one example of him not doing that. It was in the 500 last year where he just annihilates William Byron in the big one.
That's true. But no, I think Quinn is far from ready. I mean, here I am sitting on my couch playing Couch Manager again and far more ready than I am. But from a driver's perspective, he's far from ready of being in a Cup car. And I think you just have to earn your way up. There's so many guys that start down in the ARCA and Truck Series that are genuinely trying to get their way up to the Cup Series and trying to do it by consistently running well, getting good rides and this, that, and the other. And that attracts sponsorship at that point. But when you're just doing this pay-to-play stuff, it's, in my mind, it's just not fair. That's just kind of my 2 cents on it.
Kevin, what's going through your head when Quinn Houff, caution comes out and you pan to Quinn Houff just destroyed?
I was just like, of course it's Quinn Houff. Like, it wouldn't be anybody else besides him. Like, I don't know I think I heard on the radio, like when I was just driving the other day, from one of their talk shows. Apparently, I think he was trying to pit or whatever, and I think his crew called him in late, so he's trying to get down there. Apparently, he broke his left mirror or something like that. He didn't have a mirror or something, and then he just tried to dive down in front of the field and kill everybody. And oh my God, because Blaney had the race won because he was on 4 tires. Hamlin had to take 2 because there's no other way he was probably going to catch or make up time. And then I was like, okay, Blaney has us in the bag. And then Quinn Houff is just wrecking. And I'm like, what is going on? And I don't know. I kind of like Brad's idea of the promotion thing, but like how Steve said, at the end of the day, it comes down to the cash. So, yeah, I don't think anything is going to happen with that kind of like relegation system. I thought he was getting more like soccer, like how they do it. Like through bottom 3 points gets sent down, top 3 points get sent up or whatever. But yeah, with the whole cash thing and all that stuff, I don't think there's any way we're gonna get like a real system where NASCAR can monitor who gets in, who doesn't, because it's just pay to win. Might as well be EA Sports, NASCAR, whatever. It's just pay to win. That's all it is.
And as a result, there were pit stops that happened, and the RCR guys took a different strategy than everyone else. Tyler Reddick took gas only, and then Austin Dillon took 2 tires. Caden, were you surprised that more teams didn't do that at the end there?
Yeah. Say at the mile and a half, it's more about track position than anything with the new cars. Because, I mean, honestly, it's basically a truck with a shorter wheelbase nowadays. And granted, they are not as powerful as they used to be, but like they're so sealed to the ground. And even with the last couple of years when they had the low downforce, they're still sealed to the ground because there's no ride height rules about it. The only rules they have for that kind of stuff is the body template, and that's more or less for the roof and the rear windshield. And honestly, if you have a yellow like that, it's kind of tempting to not stay out or to, get track position. Because that's means more than anything, really.
Yeah, and Logano, Kyle Busch, all of them, they had about 50 lap fresher tires than Austin Dillon and Tyler Reddick, and they just could not do anything. They weren't even close. They didn't even have a shot. I mean, you got them you got the RCR guys side by side on a restart, and it was just like Kyle and Joey would just trade positions. But once Joey got past Kyle because he had the better car, not like he even ran down Reddick or Austin Dillon. Like, it wasn't even close. It's insane how much tires mean nothing nowadays.
Right.
The only track it might mean something is like Atlanta, just because of the surface. But with these new surfaces and everything, the tires don't wear. Teams are changing left side tires as opposed to right side tires. You can't win. There's a reason Kevin Harvick and Rodney Childers, trim out their cars, is because they know if they get the lead, no one's stopping them with the straightaway speed.
Well, they also trim the cars out because the cars already have so much downforce built into them with the new templates on the Gen 6 car. And that's what they're trying to stop with the next gen for, when is it, a year and a half from now? Middle
22
year,
now.
22? Yeah. That's what they're trying to stop with their new ride height rule that they're bringing back. And they're building, the 18-inch aluminum rims, which aluminum is probably not going to hold up for the speed that they run into the corners. They should probably keep the steel because it has more tensile strength, stronger, long story short. And I feel like the new cars will race better, but at the same extent, with what they have going on with the tires and rims, Goodyear has already pulled out of multiple motorsports, F1, IndyCar, countless other deals that I'm not going to go into. I don't think they are set up for success simply because of the rims and the tires.
Mm-hmm. And obviously Goodyear, there's just some tracks they've yet to figure out. One of them being Indianapolis. They can't get a tire on on those cars, no matter what gen or what body they're running, what package. It does not matter. They have not figured out a good tire for Indianapolis. Some years are worse than others. Like this year was probably one of the worst years going back to 2008.
Right.
And
I would say the worst thing about their tires wasn't Indy. It's the 1.5 miles. There's no fall off. The tires are way too hard. They say they're building them soft, but they probably have too many plies in the tires to where they don't actually lose grip because of how much actual rubber is in the tire. So they're lasting longer than they should, even though they're softer. There's still more rubber in it.
Mm-hmm. And that's what creates better racing, is when you get tire fall off and you've got people that run hard at the beginning, then they start to fade, and the guys that are saving their tires, they start to come through at the end of the run. That's when you get the best racing, not when everybody's able to just hold it full throttle. And it looks better because there's like 10 cars within 3 seconds of each other, but it's not like anybody's passing anybody.
Right.
It's a big game of follow the leader. That's all this is turning into.
Well, the only thing it's helped is it puts more emphasis on the pit crews. If there's anything to benefit from it, it puts more emphasis on a good pit crew. But that shouldn't be the main thing. A pit crew should aid you to winning, not, if your pit crew's got to get you out first and then you win.
And it definitely didn't help Harvick.
Kevin Harvick not happy. If there's one time you can't call him happy, Harvick, it's on pit road, because that team seems to flutter every year at some point. They just, I don't know what it is. You think they would get the best crew That's Rojas Racing, and they always seem to make a mistake when it's, the money stop.
Right.
And, when it comes to your winner, Austin Dillon, I still don't understand why he got out of the car and was like, how's that for a silver spoon kid? Okay, he's won 3 races in NASCAR in the Cup Series. One being the 2017 Coke 600, based on fuel mileage. He led the last 2 laps. He won the Daytona 500. It's still up to you whether Almirola blocked and wrecked himself or Dillon wrecked him. He led half a lap. So he led 3 laps combined in his wins going into Sunday. He takes 2 tires and he gets him out front, and the package aids him to the victory. Granted, he did have to beat Tyler Reddick on the restarts. And one thing, I respect Tyler Reddick for his attitude towards the end of that race. Like, he's like, I just blew that one. I just choked that restart. See, that's what you need. You don't need a driver that's like Chase Elliott, who's like, I hate it for my guys and just couldn't get a restart there. I hate it for my guys. And that's why I like Tyler Reddick. I feel like he's one of those drivers that has the personality out of the young guys. He's not another, just vanilla driver.
Yeah, he's going to hold himself accountable, and he knows when he screwed up. But I was reading a statistic on some Facebook group earlier that was kind of shocking, that Kevin Harvick's last year at RCR, 2013, he had 4 wins. RCR, since 2013, has had 4 wins.
Jeez.
So Kevin Harvick was kind of the secret, or kind of the key to success at RCR in the 2000s.
You get 1 from Ryan Newman and 3 from Austin Dillon. And that's
subpar at best.
This year they've been the best they've been in recent years, but it's still not good. Both of their cars are outside the top 16 in points. Obviously, Dillon now in the playoffs. And now it's harder for Tyler Reddick to make the playoffs because you've got people fighting on the bubble like Eric Jones, Jimmy Johnson, William Byron. Those are arguably teams that should be outrunning an 8 car. But
Absolutely.
Tyler Reddick is putting that car better than where it should be.
But if you recall a couple episodes ago when we were discussing all the bubble guys, and Tyler Reddick was about 40 points out. He's 14 points out now. So he puts together a couple more good races, and I think has a shot at maybe even getting his first win. But
Kansas
if he keeps pointing his way in,
I think Kansas has got to be a serious threat. He was really good there in the Xfinity Series. It's a track where, well, now, I mean, with the Cup package, I don't know if you're going to see the outside really dominate. But, if it comes down to, riding that outside, Tyler Reddick's your guy right now.
Yeah. Yeah, even last year, so last year in the Cup Series when Reddick did the 500, he also did Kansas. And that car that did 2 races that year, I mean, he was consistently running the top 10. Yeah.
I think he finished 9th.
He was outrunning a lot of guys in only his second Cup race. So I've watched Tyler Reddick.
So we talked about Tyler Reddick. We'll take this into our Splash and Go segment. We got a question. It's from George in Virginia. With the recent surprise winners of Cole Custer and Austin Dillon, will we see another surprise winner in 2020? I'll give it to Caden.
Another surprise winner? I don't know if you consider it a surprise, but I honestly think Tyler could win a race. I'm actually looking at the results right now. He did finish 9th. He finished only behind Keselowski, Bowman, Jones, basically the top tier guys. Penske cars, Hendrick cars, and the 2 Ganassi cars. That's only 8 cars he finished behind.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think he's got a chance, definitely, because you figure he's got a better car than last year already.
Mm-hmm.
They got support coming in from GM now instead of they're still getting the EGR motors, but they're getting direct support. That's from where they were lacking it the last few years. So I think with that, and Reddick, he's given them almost like a confidence boost kind of deal. You figure they run Xfinity Championship, he moves up, and he's running well. He's already got 3 top 5s. I don't know how many top 10s, honestly. And he's got consistently good runs. Granted, he hasn't put together the end of a race yet, more or less. I think if any track is one for him to get a win at, it's probably Kansas, somewhere like there, or Darlington. Darlington, earlier this year, he was running top 10, had arguably the fastest car in the first race. Granted, he had issues on pit road or whatever it was. I think he can win one of those races where you got to rip the lip around the high side.
No, definitely Tyler Reddick, honestly, might be the favorite to the next rookie to get a win. Steve, anyone on your radar you think that could come out as a surprise winner?
You know, this isn't really a surprise, but I think Kurt Busch is going to be another guy that's going to rip off a win here before the playoffs. It's not really a surprise considering how many wins he has in the championship. But I think we just, over the last couple of years, just seen kind of Kurt Busch win that 1 or 2 races-ish a year. I think he's finally putting together those top 10 runs again, and I think we're going to see Kurt Busch win a race or 2 before the playoffs start.
And Kevin, anyone you think could sneak a win?
I think possibly Christopher Bell, the 95. I think he could probably sneak one in there because, like how we said a while ago in some other episodes, he's better when he goes to the tracks for the second time or whatever. And now that we're getting into the latter half of the season, I think he might be able to kind of sneak a win in there. So either him and, again, this probably won't be a surprise either, but maybe Byron too. I feel like he's shown that he has the speed. He just needs to he just needs to do it more consistently. So you would think that 24 would already have a win, but granted, there's been some bad luck in there. He's also just hasn't been as consistent as I thought he would be. But I think as we get to the later part of the season, I think both those guys could possibly kind of sneak in a win at whatever tracks we got left. So
yeah, before we move on, Christopher Bell, another great save in the Texas race. And maybe twice when Quinn House just tried to kill him. So if one driver is going to do it, I think oh man, that's tough. Maybe someone like a John Hunter-Nemechek at like Daytona, he could win. Maybe Stenhouse. I don't know if that's really a surprise winner.
Matty D, he's been fast.
Matt Benedetto he's knocking on the door. Yeah. A lot of people knocking on the door of a win. And at this point, every win's going to count because we're trending towards a lot of winners. 10 winners, and you still don't have a Busch brother winning. You don't have Jimmy Johnson. We only have 2 of the Hendrick cars that have won. Still got Eric Jones, got Gibbs guys. You got so many people that still haven't won. I think we'll have about 13 or 14 winners before the playoffs start. So those points positions are going to start getting very limited coming down, especially if guys like maybe Bubba Wallace sneaks a win. That just moves that playoff bubble back another spot.
Exactly.
So with that, we'll go into our race picks. Since Caden's the guest today, he gets to pick first. Caden, who's going to win at Kansas?
Kansas? Oh, man. I tell you what. If Larson was still on the grid, I'd be picking him, but he's not. So, I don't know, man. I'm gonna go with Reddick because he knows how to run that line. He knows how to run against the wall. I think it's gonna be about running the wall, and I don't think anyone else is gonna run it better than 8 car.
And Steve is up this week.
They literally took the guy that I was going to take.
Oh, man, I was going to pick him too.
I was like, man, Caden's not going to take Reddick.
I think I was the only one that wasn't going to choose him, but damn.
No, I was going to go Reddick. All right, well, I got to go back up.
Chase Elliott.
No, because Kansas and him are just not friends.
Well, I mean, hey, he did finish second there in the fall.
That's true. No, he does have that one win. I stand corrected. He does have
Yeah,
the
he
one
did win in 2018.
win in
in the fall.
2018. That's right. I stand corrected.
I think he has
on
a
that.
top 3 there in 4 of his last 5 races, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. But I'm actually going to go Martin Truex on this one. Has the win a couple years ago. And I don't know. Truex is just kind of flying under the radar this year, but I feel like at Kansas, I feel like he's just going to be pretty dominant and probably sweep the stages. And I feel like Truex is going to win.
Kevin?
I'm gonna go Bowman. He finished second there in the spring last year. Barely finished 11th behind Johnson in the fall race or whatever, and he led a combined about 70 laps in both of those races. I believe in the spring race I think he had the second most laps led or whatever. So I think Bowman could possibly get a win there. He's obviously been consistent and he's been strong there. So yeah, that's my pick for Kansas on Thursday.
Well, we already talked about him. I threw some stats out for him. I'll pick Chase Elliott. And you can't go wrong with 4 top 3s in the last 5 races at Kansas. Chase Elliott is looking pretty good. Won the All-Star race a week ago. You know, he wasn't that great at Texas. He had his moments. But, I mean, I think Kansas is just more suited for Chase Elliott. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you how it's more suited for him, but I just think it is. He really wasn't really that good at Texas, like, ever, you know, other than getting his first Xfinity win there. But Kansas, he's got a win there. He finished second in the fall last year. I think he'll win again, get some more playoff points that he's going to need in the playoffs if he wants to finish outside the top 30 in the round of 8 every race. He's going to need all the playoff points he needs. So Chase Elliott will win again at Kansas. So that will wrap it up here for episode 13. Thank you, Caden, for joining and talking about your experiences in North Carolina.
Thank you.
And Kevin, Steve, will be back again next week for episode 14, Clint Boyer episode. Wes loves Clint Boyer. Hopefully he's back next week.
Man, I feel like Wes is just dead.
Yeah, dude, I haven't seen him in forever.
Haven't seen from him, haven't heard from him.
Yeah.
Working.
Yeah,
Just putting in those hours.
Yeah,
Dobbs seen him.
I saw him
Dobbs
last
over
week at Olive Garden, you know, heading back up to New Jersey, but that was it after the All-Star race.
It's been a whole almost week. It's crazy.
Yeah, we got to sit with Caden, too, during the All-Star race. So it was all pretty good. But hopefully we get Wes back, and maybe we'll get Caden back on for an episode in the future. See y'all next time for episode 14.
Wow.